Hello, everyone. We are finally giving you an update. Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff just left. He's going to go on a well-deserved break right now.
Much
But
needed break.
you have me,
Much needed
Aleshley
break.
Castro, and you also have your other meteorologist, Davion Huggins. So
What is
the
it doing?
camera over here is just kind of doing its own thing for the
Camera's
most
like, I
part.
want
So
to
we're
find Dan.
yeah, we're getting used to it. Dan's not here; it's freaking out. So if we go like that, there we go. It's fixed now. But I know many of you guys are tuned in because of the talks over what's going to be happening this weekend. Davion, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, my thoughts. I think we're past the possibility of a winter storm. I think now is the time to prepare. We have a very nice day
Yes.
tomorrow. High temperatures back into the mid or low to mid 50s. Sunny skies. Use that day to prepare for what's coming because we're out of the realm of possibility. Now we're saying, okay, a winter storm is coming. This is happening.
Yeah, it's no longer a matter of if it will happen. It's more so when will it really come in and how much of it we're going to be seeing. So
Exactly.
let's go ahead and just kind of switch on over to what we have here on
Wasting no
Max
time.
1 right now. So massive system that is developing across or off towards the Pacific coast right now. Dan just actually mentioned that Springfield, National Weather Service Springfield told us that hurricane hunters are actually making their way out to this system to actually record a couple of stuff to make sure and give us a better idea of what we could actually expect.
I wanted to say, let me not move Leslie out of the camera.
No, you're good.
Hurricane hunters flying into a storm that we're projecting for winter. I personally haven't heard of. Now, obviously, I'm from the East Coast, but I don't think that's a norm. So that kind of tells me right there that okay, this is something that we're going to have very serious eyes on as we go throughout the next several days. And you can already see the water pressure imagery as I take the camera off. You can see that low is already churning. And just a spoiler, that's not the only thing that we're watching in terms of water vapor. There's going to be energy coming down from the north as well, combining with this as it emerges over the Rockies. And yeah, we're going to have ourselves a pretty bona fide storm over the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah, to say nonetheless. But let's go ahead and kind of jump in as to sort of the watches and warnings we have out right now. So there is a winter storm watch that is in place for the entire viewing region, and they extended it out from 6 a.m. Sunday to 6 p.m. Sunday, or 12 p.m. Sunday, sorry, earlier today. I'm all talked out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But the hazards for that, mainly they were saying just snow. Now it's snow and potentially sleet combined, especially down into the River Valley region. Right now, the estimation totals, at least from NWS Tulsa, they're telling us anywhere from 4 to 12 inches area wide, and also some potential for some of that light ice accumulation to occur. Now, the areas where we could see some sleet more than anything else will really cut into your snow total. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But doesn't matter whether we get sleet, snow, definitely prepare for that because traveling, especially during this weekend, could be difficult.
Yeah, certainly. And it's been a kind of a running theory that you only really lose power when you have just a freezing rain event, an ice event.
Yeah.
We're going to have someone on the Facebook Live a little later on tonight that will explain that's not necessarily true. So we want to treat this serious. Obviously, 4 inches of snow, winter storm criteria. So we're projecting more than that across the entire coverage area, whether it's all snow or snow and ice or snow, whatever it is. So we're going to have so hurricane hunters is crazy. Yeah, it's pretty serious when the hurricane hunters are flying into a winter storm. So we're going to have some very serious eyes on this. If you guys didn't watch the newscast, that was probably my first show where I did not smile much because I don't want to give off the impression of this is a very nice, we're going to have snow on the ground and this is serious.
Like actually, yeah.
I think this is going to be a very high impact event for our coverage area and beyond. This is a large
massive system, and I can just kind of go on out here and show you all the winter storm watches that are in place for the region. And if we take the camera off, you can see that extends out into the Carolinas. Davion, your hometown is included in this as well. So
the thing about that too is extending out that far, there's of course a lot of uncertainty and a lot of guarantee on how the storm will actually progress as it continues to travel eastward. What we can say is wherever you see those watches and warnings, there's going to be some very serious impacts. Very strong storm is on the way. I do think this has the potential to be pretty impactful nonetheless.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we're still kind of waiting on, obviously, the higher resolution models and the short-term models to begin to pick up on some of this snowfall. And we can do a quick deep dive on that because I know a lot of people are asking how much snow are we going to see?
Biggest question.
We know a winter storm is coming. It's just a matter of how much. So we could go ahead and switch on over. Our chief meteorologist Dan Scoff had a really good story, just kind of doing a great breakdown on what these snow totals may look like and the timing for it as well. Timing matters. So this is one of our higher resolution models, the graph here, and it's already beginning to show, you know, some of that mixed precipitation coming in Friday evening. And then look at that snow picking up for the region. Now, this is definitely something we're keeping an eye on. You notice how River Valley, it's kind of covered in that mix, but snow is covered up in the north. Now, we've noticed between yesterday and today, this path is shifting farther north. So they were showing a lot of snow now for the River Valley. Not so much. It shifted up north into northwest Arkansas. And you can kind of see the system just wants to extend all the way out. Look at this very defined line, too.
Fire hose right on Interstate 40 of snow versus sleet and freezing rain for the River Valley, really separating the north and south between the precipitation lines. And this is very typical of winter storm events. You typically have a warm sector where you have more ice and sleet, and then you have the very cold sector of snow. And I gotta say, that was some very heavy snow on that very first few images of the model run. So we're gonna be in for it. Definitely want to make sure you have the time to prepare now.
Yeah. And also a really good question someone just brought up here: wet or dry snow and ice. So we actually asked our chief meteorologist, you asked Chief Met Dan Scoff here, like, that's
a very good question. I'll be 100% honest. I don't have the exact answer for that right now. What I will say is, if I'm leaning off of just what I would know, I think before the storm kind of shifted a little bit further to the north, we were thinking, okay, this is going to be a very dry snow, you know, snow shovels. It'll move easily, blowing snow. Now, when we have more of that mixing line right nearby our area, I would suspect that we're going to see more of the wet snow kind of slushy vibe, which is just going to be an absolute mess for travel. Travel really not recommended at all, regardless if it was wet, dry snow, or anything. Just don't recommend it.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Josh Rugger, our morning meteorologist, brought up a good point. It likes to take things out too quickly and is way too fast in terms of the graph model, in fact. And we've also been eyeing the NAM model too. And let me tell you, that NAM model is shifting this wintry mix just all the way up to the north of us. So we can play that out for you guys real quick here, and you can kind of see that mix just really digging up north into northwest Arkansas. Snow pushed all the way out. And so this gives us, and you also have the Euro model just showing snow just kind of right on us, and the wintry mix actually further south here. So
there's the big story that
you could also look at the extent of that. This has shifted a lot farther north.
This has shifted a lot farther north. You know, a lot earlier this week, and not even earlier this week, really yesterday, a lot of even over towards the east in the Carolinas, that snow line was way down towards the South Carolina border. You can see that is all the way up towards Virginia now. So this storm has nosed up a little bit northward, especially with that warm sector, all that moisture coming in. So some of this is actually going to be, of course, freezing rain as well, and sleet and all that. But I think we're in for it across northwest Arkansas. I think we're going to see a pretty significant impacting storm with all this moisture that's moving through.
I agree nonetheless. And I also have precipitation totals pull up, preliminary. Big preliminary. This is what National Weather Service is also kind of eyeing right now. So obviously this can change between now and tomorrow into Friday, because like we said, we don't know the exact path yet. Model by model, it's still shifting up north, you know, and model by model, some are showing more snow, some are showing less snow. So I could pull that up real quick right here, and this is what we have. So
so this is the snowfall total map. Again, very preliminary totals for right here, but this is in line with what the National Weather Service offices in and around our region are going with as of right now. And I've got to be honest, some of the models, our 4-panel model actually does a very good representation of this as well. We have 8 to 12 inches across portions of northwest Arkansas. Obviously, the higher elevations will see more snow, and that's because the snow will take a little bit of time to saturate in the upper atmosphere. However, the mountains are the upper atmosphere, so you'll see those snow totals a little higher, of course, in upwards elevations. But once the atmosphere is saturated, start reaching the ground, we're going to be in for going for about 8 to 12 inches for right now. Again, very preliminary. You want to stress that this is definitely going to change as we get more details, especially after the hurricane hunters fly through the storm. We're going to have a lot of information to put
Yep.
into the computer models and to see how strong and how the storm may actually progress over to the east. But again, just touching on the river valley, comparing it to us, you see those snow totals are a little bit less, and that's because that sleet and freezing rain will be mixed in, and
Yes.
that the sleet will eat away at the snow totals that Alessia said earlier.
Yes, exactly. And I also have the snow depth here. You were talking about the panels, have it right next to it as well there. And you can kind of see here, this is what it's going with right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a pretty significant storm. Nonetheless, all of the models I think in the panel were showing at least 8 inches. Obviously, we'll see how things play out, but I do think 8 inches is certainly in the question. And some forecasters may call that conservative, but obviously we don't want to overshoot things right now. Forecasting for winter weather is very tough, and we're learning that as
Yes.
we continue to go. Obviously, me being from North Carolina, we get winter weather maybe once every blue moon in terms of this magnitude. So it's certainly interesting to see, but nonetheless, I do think we're in for it.
Yeah, even me coming from Ohio, like we see all the time where models want to tell us you're getting 15 inches of snow. And when the day actually comes, it's maybe 3 inches or maybe even
Exactly.
possibly like just an inch here. So that's why we're being very conservative about it right now, because I know a lot of people are putting information out there as to like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get 20, 2 feet
Right.
of
There's been a
snow.
lot of that going around.
And, I understand it is very concerning to say the least. It's definitely not something we're used to, especially here in Northwest Arkansas or in Arkansas in general.
Right.
But of course, we want to have it to be as accurate as possible as well. So like we said, I think tomorrow is when we can really begin to shape in those snow totals and what you could expect, especially as, the path actually and the system makes its way on land.
Right. Right.
Again, it's still churning out into the west. It's not making its way yet necessarily,
Looking
but
very healthy, I might add.
yeah, but we know it's going to be coming soon.
Yeah, so here's a good question. I'm sorry if I missed this. Of course, you're okay. Rough ballpark. Do we know when this will start? What in NWA? I got to be honest. The earlier models did have this slowing down just a little bit, and
Yeah.
if previously you can see, we thought things were going to be more so about Friday afternoon. Now it's looking more so maybe precipitation starts Friday late afternoon into the
Yes.
evening, but I do think Friday evening into Saturday morning is when the precipitation starts. Saturday morning beyond into, of course, Sunday when the storm eventually moves out. I think that's the main time frame where it's going to be at its
Yeah.
peak intensity, especially Saturday, like early afternoon around two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the storm is slowing down, which is also posing another problem because the longer it sits, the more moisture is there, the more snowfall or ice accumulation we get across the coverage area. So really, really not looking forward to this system. If I'm being 100% honest, this is one of those storms where it's kind of misconceptionalized.
Yep.
We're getting snow, it's fun, it's nice, but one thing that's not being talked about enough, I think, is the cold temperatures that are coming behind this storm, as well as while the storm is hitting. It's going to be cold, but behind the storm, I actually have a graphic, I should say, pulled up as well. And this is actually an extreme cold watch that goes all the way into effect from midnight Saturday all the way to the afternoon of Monday. And that's because we're expecting wind chill values as well as air temperatures to be well below zero. You can see wind chills as low as minus 13. I actually think our air temperatures will be close to minus 13 heading into Monday morning.
Yes.
Wind chills will likely be closer to minus 20. So this isn't the kind of winter storm where you're outside and enjoying and having fun. This is dangerously cold air, brutal cold. Yeah, that's a very, very good comment. Brutally cold air that's going to be coming
Yes.
down across our coverage area. And with that, you're going to see those it's not going to be one of those days where to be outside. Long extended periods of being outdoors uh will be causing hazards to the human body.
Yes, yes, exactly. So definitely something to keep in mind. So I know there's a lot of wording out there just on what's going to go on, and I know a lot of us are concerned, but what good advice we could give you right now is treat these watches as a way to basically plan ahead. You know how when you get like a maybe a tornado watch and it's like kind of telling you like, hey, like, make sure, it's basically lead time is what I'm
lead
trying
time.
to say. These watches are basically lead times for us to prepare.
That's exactly
Now,
right.
we do believe that there could be a winter storm warning that will go into effect. Typically, I mean, again, they're very unsure about how much snow we're going to get. It looks like we're closer to the criteria of actually seeing a winter storm warning issued, but you need at least 4 inches.
Right.
At least 4 inches expected for that criteria to go through. So
Yeah.
we think there's a possibility where we could go under that winter storm warning, but it might not be until late tomorrow into Friday, to say the least.
Right. And I think that's almost a given that we reached that warning. Usually, our chief meteorologist, Dan Scoff, he was actually surprised at how early the winter storm watch came out.
Yes.
Because usually they issue that a little later on. They're pretty confident. So if we're sticking on that road, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this upgraded to a warning by the time we get to maybe as early as maybe late tomorrow night, but definitely by the time we get to Friday, this will certainly almost undoubtedly be a winter storm warning upgraded as well. So God, we got our work cut out for us. To be honest,
we do. We've been on it, and a couple of things I will say is I've been trying to keep up to date a live weather blog that we actually have on our homepage. So if you just go to nwahomepage.com, you'll be able to find the weather blog from there. It's a top story at the current moment. So I'm posting updates on there as well in terms of snow totals, if any of the watches are updated, so that you guys are informed, as soon as possible. Always check back in. We're posting updates. I know our morning meteorologist Josh Rugger also posted some updates this morning, so it's getting its work in, and I know it's a lot that we're also doing on our end to make sure you guys are prepared. That's what we care about, that you guys are prepared at the end of the day, and that's why we're coming onto this live to give you this update. Now, I will say that Dan Scoff, our chief meteorologist, he'll be doing an update after the 10 p.m. show as well. So that's also a good time to check in when more of the newer models are in to see what the trends are looking like. We're still keeping an eye on those trends, of course.
Exactly. That's a major thing that we want to pay attention to. You don't want to just take one model run and run with that and go, okay, that's what's going to happen. We're going to pay attention to the trends. And of course, the biggest trend today that you've seen, of course, was the system ticked a little bit north.
Yeah.
The next trend, it could tick a little bit further north, maybe tick back south. So we're going to have to continue to watch this because it's not finalized right now. But again, certainly expecting major impacts with snow, ice accumulation as well. I think this is going to be a big one.
I think so too. And again, it's just so surprising to see this playing out before our eyes. We were looking at it a few days ago and we're like, it seems to be more on the extreme end. And like we've been looking at what could be major impacts from the system, and even the weather prediction center is beginning to show like not just moderate but major impacts and also some extreme impacts. So that's definitely something we're keeping an eye on as that time gets closer. And also just a little shameless plug here, because I know we have to get off air soon. Davion, he will be doing the newscasts at 7 p.m.
Wow, time is going by fast.
I know.
Of course, we are busy, making sure we get all of the latest data involved to keep you guys up to date. So there's a comment. I'm just tuning in. Can you give a quick update for Springdale? So Springdale is Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
So what we want to say, I'll show you this just at least one more time. I'll just do the 4-panel graphic.
Let's do like a good recap, like a quick little like rundown.
Just a quick rundown. So these are the snow totals that our various computer models are entering right now. You notice all of them have a pretty big bullseye of snow, at least over 8 inches. You can see the NAM is going about 9 inches, 8.5 in Rogers. Obviously, these are going to be very preliminary as well. Things will certainly continue to change, but you can see that the models are still continuing to be a little aggressive with the snowfall totals as well as the ice accumulation as well.
Also, wanting to keep in mind, this graphic only goes out until like early Saturday. This is not considering the rest of Saturday afternoon into the evening and up until Sunday. So this is some of the snow we are already expecting to see by that time, according to these models, but this is not the full like snowfall estimation totals. Now, obviously, like we mentioned, as we head into tonight and tomorrow, that will be more updated and really include all of that. So here's a preliminary snowfall totals of what we could actually expect from our end.
Right. If you're just joining, again, I want to stress the word that meteorologist Celeste Castro just said, very preliminary snowfall totals that we're seeing right now. This is a graphic that our chief meteorologist Dan Scoff made. Of course, we agree with it. Higher elevations, of course, the snowfall will reach you guys first because you're higher up in the atmosphere. So a foot of snow is very certain likely, or possible, I should say. 8 to 12 inches across northwest Arkansas. You can see Springdale is, of course, in that as well. Again, this is very preliminary, but this is the graphics that we're going with, and the actual NWS actually agrees as well. Of course, further south you go, we get that mixing line between the warm nodes of freezing rain and sleet. Sleet will certainly eat at your snowfall totals, but nonetheless, this is still going to be a very impactful event. Sleet, of course, can still cause very slick road conditions. Travel is going to be an absolute mess.
Yes, it will.
If you're trying to travel, I strongly suggest you don't try to travel, but if you absolutely have to, please make sure you're making the necessary or taking the necessary precautions, because if you don't treat this seriously, you might end up in trouble.
Yes, and I know a lot of people are asking about the timing for it. From what we know so far and from what we have seen, won't put an exact time as like 2 p.m. Friday.
Right,
no.
Right.
Let's focus on it starting around Friday afternoon, mid-afternoon, but also could start as late as Friday evening. Now, the main concern where this snow will really pick up and even the sleet is going to be Friday into Saturday.
Right.
Saturday morning, I believe those roads will not be well. Honestly, the majority of Saturday, I do not think will be good for traveling. So this is definitely going to be a time where you're going to want to stay home. Now, Sunday could still see some of that snowfall beginning to fall towards the later half of this, because there's some back end moisture.
Yeah, back end moisture. You always got to remember northwest flow. Backside moisture comes in. But real quick, there's a good question. Will this knock out power? People are worried about power outages. I do think power outages will be something that will be a problem. We're going to have to continue to monitor that, but the possibility of power outages are certainly on the table. So again, that's why we want to make sure you use the rest of this evening as well as tomorrow to take the necessary precautions and prepare now. Get the things you need, fill up the gas in your car, make sure you have all of your heaters. You don't want to use plug-in heaters, of course, battery operated heaters that are for indoors. You want to make sure you're doing all the things that you need to do, because power outages is certainly on the table with this storm coming in.
Yes, exactly. And we're going to begin to wrap it up here, because in less than 5 minutes, you're going to find Davion on air at 7 p.m. here. So thank you guys for tuning in. I know this isn't a whole lot of information, but this is what we can really give you right now. But the main takeaway is do begin to prepare to say nonetheless. We are expecting the snow to come. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and it's looking likely. How much, we will tell you. We will keep you updated on those totals as we continue on heading into tonight. Another live at 10 p.m. 2 more things. We also have a live weather blog, like I mentioned. If you've missed that, nwahomepage.com. It's a main story right now. Josh Rugger was updating it this morning. I was updating it this afternoon, and I will still continue to do so during that time. And then final thing, I do have a digital 479 exclusive show there now called Beyond the Forecast. So you can find it on Roku and Apple and also Amazon TV as well.
Very great content.
So like I've mentioned, make sure to check in for that. I had Josh Rugger and Dan Scoff on it this morning, also talking about the winter storm. We will be covering that as well from 12:30 to 1 p.m. That's going to be Monday through Friday. So find us there. But yeah, we're going to wrap up this live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in, of course. And you'll find Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff again for the night shows, but also after the 10 p.m.
See you guys a little later tonight.
Yes.